What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for another installment of my series, Ranked. Ranked is where I go through and take a band or artist, look at their discography, and then rank all of their albums from worst to best. Of course, the catch is that it's all just my opinion. Of course, any list is biased, but mine is admittedly biased because these are my favorites. This is how I would rank them from worst to best. So, with that being said, we will be looking at everything from the self-titled debut all the way back in the 80s to the 2016 album The Getaway. And this is just for studio albums for anyone watching that might be new, and there's 11 of them, so there was a lot of work that went into this video. In fact, I would love to see a log of the time that I spent listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the past month. It's been eye-opening, it's been rewarding in a lot of ways, and we're going to discuss that as we go through this list, but I do hope that you guys enjoy the video. Please share it out with another Chili Peppers fan or another music fan. Please hit the like button and even subscribe if you're new here. It helps grow the channel, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. We'll get right into it, so here is my number 11 choice. Ugh, I don't have much to say here other than a big, no thank you. Yes, I'm sure, no more please. They were clearly honing in on their sound, and there are some songs like Get Up and Jump and Real Men Don't Kill Coyotes that have a decent fusion of metal, rap, funk, and rock, but overall, nah. The sound is paper thin and crumples into a little ball the second you even begin to think about inspecting it on a deeper level. Sadly, even though there are improvements on the records to come, the next few still aren't that much better. Lineup changes and drug use were abundant in these days, but what comes out on Freaky Styley is more of a goofball-styled recording. There's songs for bros to high-five each other to, joke tracks, songs about sex with questionably aged Catholic schoolgirls. Come on, Kiedis. Just a few more years until you start realizing your potential as a singer, but until then, it's lots of up and down the scale rapping, occasionally clever wordplay, heavy bass rhythms that are fine but nothing all that special from Flea, and just a whole lot of meh. Not to say that they never hit grooves musically on the first two records, because they did, but this just feels a bit more like a proper album. The Uplift Mofo Party Plan. Man, what a title. It's amazing that EMI promoted these guys at all, which they really didn't according to what I read in Kiedis' book, but damn, that would have been a tough sell to a record label exec in the 80s. A group of tattered, wild-eyed men in their young 20s going wild both on stage and out into the world somehow pulled it together to make a cohesive recording, this time with Michael Beinhorn producing. Over time, this record does settle into the psyche a bit more than its predecessors, flexing an unwavering vibe of rock and testosterone. To some, that might sound totally unappealing, and trust me, I do get it. It takes time to truly grab you. Even though it might be an improvement on many fronts, damn, the lyrics are still pretty rough. Kiedis obsesses over sex and women, and it's just not subtle at all, with songs like Party on Your Pussy being about as tactful as you'd expect. Sadly, this was guitarist Hillel Slovak's final record before dying from a drug overdose in 1988. His playing on the record was stylistically improved in a major way after returning to the band, and it's certainly a shame that these were his final recorded performances with the Chili Peppers. I highly suggest listening to the Fun Jam's organic anti-beatbox band, Fight Like a Brave, which was an ode to Slovak, or Me and My Friends, but other than that, I can't say that there's a ton that's worth keeping in rotation. We're certainly working our way up the list, but we still haven't hit an album that I fully enjoy from this band. Once again, Mother's Milk is a record that boasts more of what you may have loved about the Chili Peppers, admittedly this time with much more finesse thanks to new guitarist John Frusciante. Mother's Milk is strong in the sense that it kicked down doors they'd intentionally left closed before, with gems such as Pretty Little Ditty being more than enough to show the Chili Peppers' willingness to move forward. Behind the scenes of this release, second-time producer Beinhorn and Frusciante fought fiercely over the guitar sounds and production techniques. I think that push and pull honestly affects the consistency of the music in places, although it's pretty clear that the guitarist got his way more often than not. The gang vocal rager punk rock classic is a ton of fun with a kick-ass solo to top it off. Their cover of Higher Ground is still somehow magical after all these years, plus stuff like Good Time Boys and Sexy Mexican Maid remain versatile and entertaining. The album most certainly hits plenty of cringy low points, but overall, we're definitely headed in the right direction. God made you a believer. I don't need you. Tender, why do I believe you? Anyone's a baby now. Their final album produced by Rick Rubin, their first album with Josh Klinghoffer and without John Frusciante. Plus the first album in 5 years since the smashing multi-platinum success Stadium Arcadia. Weird times in the Chili Peppers camp, but even though many fans may have suffered during the brutal waiting time, the quality of the album made is most certainly here. I'm With You is just a pleasant, entrancing listen all around. The riffs move like the wind, the organic inspirations expand even further, and the songs flow into each other and have a connectivity that often wasn't felt in the past. Many complain that it feels weak when compared to their discography as a whole, but I find it to be a bold entry that wasn't afraid to take songs in whatever direction they wanted to. It might not be perfect, but there are some massively underrated songs that find a home on the band's 10th album. Goodbye Hooray, Even You Brutus, especially Annie Wants a Baby, and of course Factory of Faith. Man, I could keep on going too. I'll keep it short though, and remind you to check out this album even if you felt like the singles like The Adventures of Rain Dance Maggie or even Look Around were too safe. I personally really do love both of those songs and would raise you Brendan's Death song to counter the comments about safe singles. In fact, it's one of the band's best songs, hands down. I like pleasure spiked with pain and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Songbird sweet and sour Jane and music is my aeroplane. Man, talk about roller coasters. The lead guitar spot for the Red Hot Chili Peppers changes more frequently than... Wait, no one mentioned roller coasters? Fusions and changes are aplenty on One Hot Minute, the first and only album to feature guitarist Dave Navarro of Jane's Addiction fame. Some of the cuts here are so damn funky, sometimes loud and tough, sure, but smooth and truly pleasant overall. There was certainly a chemistry flowing among the bandmates during this period in time, with Chad Smith's drums adding meaning and backbone to Flea's bass adding dynamic to Navarro's guitar progressions, etc, etc. If you're into quieter Chili Peppers songs, you'll come to love the gentle tearjerker and the funky as fuck walkabout. Dig more high-octane thrills? Then get your fix with the smashing romp Coffee Shop, the religious dig Shallow Be Thy Game, or perhaps the off-kilter epic Deep Kick. One Hot Minute is effective because it touches a wide variety of genres and influences, yet still retains the spirit of what blew them up in the first place. Hey, you're fine. I wanna listen to the radio driving down Calexico Highway, and now I know the signs. Many fans have their doubts about Brian Danger Mouse Burton producing the Chili Peppers' 11th studio album The Getaway, but I was actually quite excited. He's been known to be tough on bands, to help them perfect new aspects of their already existing sound. I think the band succeeded in finding just that, hitting notes like Detroit and the beautiful Encore that would instantly strike a chord with longtime fans, but also providing newfound layers such as keyboards in other corners of the LP. Sick Love features touches from Sir Elton John and is a legitimately compelling take on a theme that's been tried many times before, but something just feels new and spirited here. Feasting on the Flowers is an upbeat ode to a best friend that's passed on, with that friend of course being former member and guitarist Hillel Slovak. The sonic direction of this record definitely feels like alternative rock, quick on its feet, but aging gracefully and still full of quality. Dark Necessities is top-notch quality in fact, catchy and thought-provoking, and hopefully cementing itself as one of the band's new staples. The Getaway can go from exploding with energy to melancholic reflection just like that, and the record is extremely solid for the point in their career they were at when recording. It also flexes Kiedis as a great lyricist once again, and guitarist Josh Klinghoffer truly comes into his own, taking away from a style that yes, he started to find on I'm With You, but here he just feels fully developed. But this will likely go down as one of their most underrated efforts someday when it's all said and done.
Give it away now. One kiss, tell 'em from a kiss and all a bump. Beating it up, people in the sea of distress. Give you more to receive your less. Unimpressed by material excess. Love is free, love me, say hell yes.
Not only was 1991 the year that I was born, it's the year the Chili Peppers finally perfected their sound. Perhaps it's a bit much in terms of length at 17 tracks and about an hour and 15 minutes, but hey, the quality and return on time invested is definitely here. A funky joining of rock, rap, singing, plus driving drum and bass, Blood Sugar Sex Magik is hard to say no to. Even when it's being a bit sheepish and silly, it's still likable, something I often couldn't say about the band's other early releases. I would dare to say that Rick Rubin's production approach helped Kiedis become a better MC, pushing himself as a rapper, lyricist, and most importantly, a singer. Up to this point in time, Kiedis hadn't really trusted his voice all that much in that regard, but he truly broke through on their fantastic hit Under the Bridge that appeared here. A place of zen is definitely reached when the guys bridge that gap between hard-hitting tough jams and moody reflections that tinker with outside instrumentation, mostly thanks to probably a higher budget that they now possessed. Even though I do love so much of this record, like I said before, I'm not always a huge albums guy when it comes to listening to the Chili Peppers. The singles are all great, obviously, Under the Bridge to Suck My Kiss to Breaking the Girl, all gold, plus the band's signature hit Give It Away still slams so hard decades later. Even though I might not always be coming back to the full album, you can still easily go mining for gold in the deep cuts here. You can't miss out on the 8-minute ode to Kiedis himself, Sir Psycho Sexy, and you're also in for a treat if you check out the rather emotional I Could Have Lied and the fast opener The Power of Equality. Blood Sugar Sex Magik sees the highs and lows of friendships, drug use, love, sex, and hey, I guess all the shit that the title would have you expect. The bass work from Flea is pretty remarkable on this outing too, plus Frusciante's disdain of the spotlight pushed him further to fine-tune his playing style and unleash some spectacular stuff.
You're so the life like none I have ever seen. Somebody close we can see right through. I take a ball and you know that I do anything. I will for you.
The 90s drew to a close with this at times personal, at times questioning and hesitant record Californication. John Frusciante returned to the band as a permanent member after completing years of rehab, happy to be back with the band he'd turned his back on earlier in the decade. As you'll see from the next few choices, I absolutely love the second stint Frusciante era, as all of the band's best albums dropped during these years. It's hard to describe why Californication sticks like glue, it just does. Like water being wet, this record simply grooves from start to finish. Savior paints Kiedis as a hero on a slower paced gym with some very unique guitar playing. This Velvet Glove oozes 70 influences which becomes a thing of beauty, and the singles, including the title track Californication, all come up aces. Smooth sailing through the red-hot seas, yes indeed.
Venice gets a queen, best I've ever seen. We all want to kiss her, tell her that we miss her.
Ranking discographies is extremely tough, especially with a legendary band like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The best thing about it though? The perspective and depth it often offers you. I'm happy to say that By the Way surprised the hell out of me as I explored it further. I'd probably listened to this record in passing a few times over the year, but I'd always had this idea in my head that this was one of their worst albums because it was so different. Dude, John, wake up. By the Way is definitely John Frusciante's baby, with him writing the majority of the melodies and the instrumental arrangements. The lyrics are so potent too, leaving the sting of emotion to stir in your psyche, all while taking you on this space-bound journey musically. The vocal harmonies are jaw-droppingly good as well, a gentle touch that might go overlooked if not listened to carefully. It's interesting just how watery this album feels in a way. It's hard to explain without sounding crazy, but now even seeing the album's cover makes me think of a deep ocean of music that lies within By the Way. This is driving music. This is thinking music. This is a forward-thinking Chili Peppers that deserves to be heard again and again. Their former funk style occasionally rears its head, turn off your television for example, but even those cuts don't stand out as the best this album has up its sleeve. Venice Queen is a damn work of art, the title track is a skittish turned up-tempo classic, and Tear is a heartwarming ode to life that's truly become a favorite of mine. You can't go wrong with By the Way. Settle in and let it change your mind like it did mine.
And this is where I found a way. The stadium, Arcadia, a mirror to the moon. Well, I'm falling and I'm warming.
The climb up the mountain is finally complete. We've reached the #1 spot. At the peak, we have none other than their uber-successful Stadium Arcadium, deserving of all of that success and more. Double albums can be risky, but the Jupiter and Mars counterparts truly paid off for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Not only is this easily the band's best album, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Frusciante's guitar playing is unparalleled in skill and approach, managing to work in some technical finesse to every nook and cranny of these 28 songs. Stadium Arcadium sees a band at their creative peak, firing on all cylinders in every possible way. They originally wanted to release several albums months apart, but managed to condense it down to a double album. The other songs released from these recording sessions are amazing as well, and I highly suggest listening to the B-sides. You know you've got a great album on your hands when you can't even begin to pinpoint which songs to praise first. Should I remind you of how Wet Sand changes perceptions and blows you away with one of Kiedis' most commanding vocal performances? Maybe we could discuss how the now iconic Danny California flipped the music world on its head in 2006 when it broke records and became a hit on nearly every single chart that it impacted worldwide. Want to go deeper than the singles? Cool. Then let's chat about the slow motion perfection of Hey, or even Slow Cheetah. Then dial it up a notch with Ready Made, Funky Especially in Michigan, or the mind-blowing hard rocker Turn It Again, which features one of Frusciante's best guitar performances ever. The title track is a steady, collected, and perfectly penned track that adds a lot of substance to this record. She Looks to Me gives new perspective into how Kiedis sees his numerous romantic endeavors more often than not. God, this record really gives you a look at almost anything that you could possibly want to know or hear. It's ambitious as fuck, crushes preconceived notions of what the band was capable of, and it manages to be both delicate and raging. A storm at a teacup, if you will. Stadium Arcadium is the greatest Red Hot Chili Peppers album, and if you haven't heard it lately or before at all, today's the day to give it a play. That's a wrap on this episode of Ranked. I do hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Of course, this was a lot of work, and the Ranked episodes in general are. If you're able to support what I do on Patreon, it's the top link down below. That Patreon link does allow you to get some cool perks in return, but it also helps you support the content and help videos like this keep coming every single month. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and turn on those notifications so you get notified when I upload other videos like this. And if you're able to, that Patreon link, it's over there in the annotation in the corner of the screen, or else the top link down below. The top 10 Chili Peppers songs right here, another Chili Peppers review here. Other than that, I'll see you soon on ARTV.